Orenthal James Simpson, not guilty of the crime of murder.
Deep in your heart, do you believe that O.J. Simpson committed these crimes?
I believe he probably committed the crime.
And yet, deep in your heart, you feel that you did the right thing.
Yes. Again, based on what we received.
Is it hard for you to square those two different feelings and to feel that the criminal justice system works?
No. I still say the system works.
Do you think anything good will come of this for you personally or for the criminal justice system? Or do you think it doesn't need fixing?
Probably needs fixing. I think some good things will happen. I think probably, hopefully, the LAPD will start doing a better job, and maybe people, Furman-type people, will be looked at a little better. I think a lot of good will probably come from it. Now, for me personally, I don't know about that yet. It has been an experience. So,
a positive, negative, or
mostly negative. I put in some hard time this previous 9 months.
And I can tell by the expression on your faces every day that you're all tired, almost as tired as I am.
Do you think a jury should ever be sequestered this long again?
Never. The biggest thrill I got when I left there was to get in my car and drive, probably 120 miles, turn on my radio, control my own, programs I listen to, this type of thing. It was hard.
Your Honor, at this time, the people would ask that Mr. Simpson step forward and try on the glove recovered at Bundy.
That was such a pinnacle moment for many jurors, but not for you.
Not for me. The fact that they didn't fit didn't bother me. I thought his gloves are not. They could have shrank, and having the rubber gloves on would keep them from fitting properly. But again, we don't know if those are his gloves.
Do you think he was acting at all when he tried those gloves on in front of the jury?
I'm sure he didn't want them to fit in front of the jury, yes.
O.J. Simpson is in that car, holding a gun to his head.
Did you watch the Bronco chase?
Yes.
If the prosecution had discussed the fact that on June 17th, 1994, Mr. Simpson got into Al Cowling's Bronco with something like $8,000 in cash and traveler's checks, a passport, a disguise, apparently a fake beard, and a gun. Do you think that would have had an impact?
Yes. In fact, that popped into my mind a few times, and I had to say I can't think about that or bring that into my decision at all.
What do you think he was doing that day?
Trying to run away.
It's no disguise. It makes no sense. It doesn't fit. If it doesn't fit, you must acquit.
I heard you were disgusted by Johnny Cochran's closing argument.
Exactly.
Why disgusted?
It made me angry and disgusted. I felt like he was playing to emotions. And it bothered me that he couldn't just stick with the facts.
Do you think that he was directing a lot of his argument to the black jurors?
Could be, because it couldn't have been directed at me.
Why do you say that?
Well, he looked at me very little during that time.
That's what I'm asking you to do. Stop this cover-up. Stop this cover-up. If you don't stop it, then who?
I almost laughed a couple times. It just seemed like he was just over-dramatizing, kind of the hellfire and damnation preacher-type approach.
It has to be stopped by you.
Do you think the other jurors were affected?
I'm not sure about that, because I did mention it during deliberations, or at the end of deliberations, how I felt about that speech, and it really disturbed me, and I didn't get any response from the other jurors about that. So, I can't say how that speech really affected them.
You, unlike some of the other jurors, were impacted by the domestic violence portion of this trial.
Yes.
Why did you think Mr. Simpson had the motive?
Well, to me, a batterer is very capable of going further and, committing murder. And it's my understanding that most murders done by husbands, ex-husbands, boyfriends, there's been battering previous, to that occurring. So I just, feel that's a part of it.
Were the photos of Nicole Brown Simpson and the fact that she had a will and some letters of apology from Mr. Simpson in a safe deposit box. Was that fairly compelling for you?
Yes, it was. It made me feel at least that she felt like great harm might come to her.
The fuse is getting shorter, and there's about to be an explosion. He is about to lose control.
Many of the jurors said that the idea that this fuse was burning, that Chris Darden tried to portray, did not seem applicable to this situation because Mr. Simpson had not physically abused Nicole Brown Simpson since 1989.
Well, we don't know that he hadn't. I mean, maybe there were no police reports, but I agreed with his assessment of that he was that type of person. And I think a situation like that could only accelerate, particularly since he hadn't had any formal rehab type, treatment for his problem.
Do you feel that the defense just totally outclassed the prosecution in this case?
I can't say that. I think they had just enough to work with to destroy what evidence the prosecution had. I think both sides did a great job. I kept hoping somebody would come along that saw him by Nicole's in the Bronco that night. Something you could really grab a hold of and believe.
But the evidence...
It didn't happen.
The evidence for you, beyond a reasonable doubt, just wasn't there.
That's the bottom line. And it's sad. Like I say, I feel for the families, and it's hard enough for us as jurors. I can imagine what it's like for the families.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, is this your verdict? So say you one, so say you all?
I don't think we're the final judge of what, our fellow man does either. And I heard the remark that when he meets his maker, Johnny Cochran won't be there. So, we're not the final judge.
And still to come this morning on Today, how to understand those options on your employee benefits, a new biography of Abraham Lincoln that's a little different, and Demi Moore, whose new movie, The Scarlet Letter, opens today. But first, this is